So it's like, that's something where people are getting value from within their own community.
Right.
And
Right.
state funding and gentrification or whatever people think, that's never going to go to things like that.
Yeah.
It's always going to go to the new street sign named after somebody or whatever the other. So it's like it's like these things, like gentrification is so nuanced because it involves things like this, where it's like people have needs. And especially the people who are struggling, they don't have the paycheck that's just like coming in consistently to depend on. It's like they need others to be able to help them out. And so I always wonder how the city or the state, or like you mentioned a grant for like what you're doing, how can we get more funding for stuff like this? Because there's funding that goes to all other different types of stuff. It's like, what about stuff like this? And is there going to be a shift where politicians are going to see, oh, people are going more back to the like local community stuff. They're not going to us and like the big things we're building anymore. They're going to their neighbors.
Yeah.
That's where I see things going.
Yeah.
So maybe the money will start going back into that. And the same way that you'll see like run clubs being sponsored, like big sponsors going back to like run clubs and book clubs. Like wine tasting events are becoming like little curated events that are like sponsored and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the big companies are realizing this. When will the city and like mostly like the voters, I guess, realize, oh, we're going back to that rather than just, you know, whatever we've been doing for the last like 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And I think when you bring it back into the home and the neighborhood, there adds an element of like whoever else is like, okay, let's say there's like a speaker, or what's coming to mind is like the neighborhood meetings, right? The police will come to these, right? And when this first started happening, I was like, you want me to do what? and because they would like ping me and they'd be like, hey, we need a neighborhood support to show out and to talk about like crime that's happening or just things that the community, this particular neighborhood feels like they need to address here. And we need bodies, kind of thing. So the first time I went, I was kind of like, you know, just kind of very much like, I don't really understand what the purpose of this is. But if for nothing at all, it shows like we care about this place. We want to make sure that it is that you see our face also. Because the first thing I thought about with this is like if someone were to call the cops on me for having an event and because the music is too loud or something. And so I asked the question and the guy was like, oh yeah, they can't do anything because your property's in the backyard. I was like, oh, cool, bet. Good to know.
Nice.
Right? And I wouldn't have had that exchange, that interaction had this space not existed for this type of forum.
Right.
So and when I think about, I guess, like what could the city be doing differently, or even like what grants exist, I've applied to them. I have found stuff that's like, oh, small business trying to start something, like here's $5,000 if we like your idea, kind of thing. I've pitched that. And I have not gotten any money yet for the dojo, but I think it's there. I think I because of the nonprofit stuff, I'm just subscribed to a lot of newsletters where they're talking about grants that are available for Black people, for women, for women of color. Like, so, but from the city, from the state, they're not. It's usually private, private entities.
So much. They have a huge budget, and that's what I've been pitching to them is like, well, y'all have this giant budget. Why don't you give money to individuals, to communities for their homes? And then for something like this, like it's such a special, unique project. It would actually be so interesting if you were to be able to pitch what you're doing to the Senate, because they're the ones who decide like, okay, where do we put this like $8 billion budget for New York State? And I'm over here like asking for pennies, like, hey, could you give us $50 million for the entire New York State? So that we can either buy our buildings, so we can maintain them. So we can just like, you know, live without having somebody like banging our doors down for rent. And we don't even own it. So if we can do it for that, and I can go there and be like, hey, I'm the one who would be capable of doing this, because they really want to see that, like, who is going to be using this money. So I'm there being like, hey, me. And I have a plan which is like, I don't know, just trust me. Really, that's what it is at the end of the day. With you, what you're doing, if you were to be able to go to them and be like, well, this is what I've been doing already. Imagine if we were able to open up this opportunity for others in the same neighborhood to buy their buildings and not only convert it to affordable housing, but create community spaces. These people, like, all the politicians are not like reptiles. Like, some of them are there.
Yeah.
You know, some of them kind of get
the
it.
ones you hear about.
Yeah. Some of them are curious and like trying to act in good faith and like, oh, how can we make New York better? I mean, I think that's why some of them got into it. So it's like, well, this is how you can make New York better. This is what New Yorkers want.
Right.
I think a lot of them, well, even the ones that I've spoken to, they don't even think that this is something that people want, which is like home ownership. They think that people want to rent. And I mean, there are advantages to renting and stuff a little bit, but if people owned their homes, they wouldn't even be thinking about home ownership anymore. They'd be thinking about community.
Right.
How can I use my home to either shelter others, benefit them, develop them? Like, it's endless. Like, that's what life is really all about. So it just really makes me think about all the possibilities that could come from this. And I don't know if you found others who are doing something similar, but it's just so interesting how you have this whole track record. You've been doing it.
Yeah, I guess some of this is also like, we've been creating gatherings and spaces for like community professional development type stuff when I think about like nonprofit and also just having a good time for years, right? Like some of this stuff was even happening when we were kids, right? The little logistics that go into how am I gonna see my cousin who lives in Queens when we're in Rockland, right? So like, and who's coming with us along the way, right? Like there are some like, you know, weekends where there's 10 kids at my grandma's house, right? How does that happen? Logistics, planning, like, right? Like getting people together because we know once we're together, we're gonna have a good time no matter where we are.
Yep.
So we've been doing this in various backyards and spaces and places on trips. And then it was like, oh, boom, now you have a physical brick and mortar. What is even possible?
Right.
And this is what that is.
Yes.
This is like, okay, we're gonna honor the space because this is the reason, he's the reason why we have it. The Tullys in Harlem owning 3 buildings in the 40s? What? Unheard of. So we have to talk about that. We have to acknowledge that. But then it's like, okay, what are things that people can relate to when you first walk into the space, right? It's like all of the movie posters, all of like, I wanted every generation to walk in there and be able to recognize a martial arts film that they either heard about or saw. And then the back is very much can be a loud space, but is meant to be a quiet space. Is meant to be this like serene, this place where you can, like my cousin's son, her oldest son who's in college, he said to my cousin that he loves it back there. It's so quiet. It's just, and to say that in Manhattan, that you're in a quiet, serene space that's just, exactly, because it takes sometimes too much effort to go get that. So it's, or you gotta jump on a train and go on a hike.
It's luxury.
Right?
It's literally a luxury that people are willing to pay for just to have peace.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, we've been able to create that. And then once we had this space, it was like, boom, like, okay, we got it now.
Yep.
Like, that's all we needed. All we needed was the space.
Right. I wish people knew that. Like, housing, and in this case, like just a house, a home, a space is the foundation for everything else you want to do.
Right.
It's so cool.
100%. It's been a blessing. It's been a journey. I'm so excited to see what happens, even as we do start to renovate the space. I'm excited to see when this documentary launches, like if additional funding will come our way to keep this. My cousin's husband jokes around. It's like, yo, we need to open a John's Dojo in Cali. I was like, okay.
We franchising this?
Exactly. Like, we're doing this? Okay, like maybe we actually do have like a once a month defense class that we really do run, you know, and are able to then say, community, hey, neighbors, we're doing this at the house.
People want stuff to do.
Yeah, exactly.